We can load the ingredients from the server and build the burger. Let's now work on the checkout process. There, when we enter all that contact data, I want to make sure that once we have a valid contact form and we click that order button, we do of course submit that order, and we do of course store that order on the Firebase server, but I want to handle more of that via Redux. If we have a look at the checkout container, there we don't do anything related to the checkout because we first of all load the contact data component or container. And in the contact data container, it's a very big container because we do all the state management of the form here. There we have that order handler where ultimately we reach out to our backend. This is what I now want to handle in the action creator so that we actually create our order in there and automatically add it to our store. So let's start working on this, and let's first of all define some action types. If we have a look at the contact data container, we can actually split this up in a couple of actions we probably want to dispatch. We want to start submitting this. So something like try purchase or try complete order. But then we also need actions for the success case and for the failure, where we might want to set up some error or simply set loading to false if we don't want to do anything with the error. So these three action types probably make sense. So back in the action types file, I'll export a couple of constants here. And the first one is actually purchase burger success. And of course, a similarly named string here, or a similar value for the string, and purchase burger fail. And this will be the action we dispatch if it fails. I don't have my try purchase action here because we don't need an identifier for that. It will only be an action creator we execute to run some async code. It will never be an action we dispatch to reach the reducer due to the async code. So let's head over to the order.js file then in the actions folder. And there I'll first of all import my action types from /action types. And then I want to export some handlers here, some action creators. The first one will be, and we can orientate ourselves on the action types, purchase burger success. So here I'll name this purchase burger success in camel case notation. Here I expect to get the ID of the newly created order, so the order which was created on the backend, on the database on our backend. I expect to get this as an ID here because I want to pass it on in the action which I actually create here, so that in the reducer we can use that action to actually add the order to our orders array. And maybe I need even more than the ID. Maybe I also want to have the order data. So I'll pass our order data object here too. Then I return an object where I have a type. Type should be action types and then purchase burger success. Then I'll set up an order ID property, which is my ID. And I'll also pass an order data property. And yes, we could merge both together, of course, where I set order data like this. Now I need to add another action creator. I'll name this one purchase burger fail. There I might get the error message, but then I simply want to return a new object of type action types purchase burger fail, and I will pass on the error since we got it. These are the two synchronous action creators. Now comes the async one. I'll name it purchase burger start. This is the action we dispatch from the container once we click that order button. Here, I do expect to get some order data, like the user data, the ingredients, and so on. And then in this function, I will return a function where I get the dispatch function using that redux func middleware, where I then will reach out to Axios. For that, I'll first of all import Axios from, and now I need to move up to the Axios orders file here. And there I'll reach out to Axios and I want to post a new order. We actually have the code in the contact data container already, it's this code here. So I can just cut it from there and put it into my order action creator, like this. This is the request I want to make, and I want to pass my order data as an argument here. We could, of course, also restructure that order data in the action creator if we need to do so. I certainly don't want to call this set state here, and I also won't call this props history push. We don't have access to the router here. We could get it, we could pass it as an argument, but I'll take a different route of redirecting later. So none of that happens. Instead, once we got the response so that we were successful, I will dispatch my purchase burger success action creator here. We'll execute it, of course, and I'll pass response data and see if that's the ID. So let's simply log response data here to see how we can get the ID of the newly created element. And I will also pass the order data, which I also still need. So what did we order, so that I can add this to my local store. And in the error case, I'll dispatch purchase error a burger fail, not error, purchase burger fail, and pass on that error object. With that, the action creators in the order file are finished. In the next lecture, I want to connect them to my container and make sure that ordering indeed goes through Redux.